applied the collar, we were hand stitching the facing into the shoulder seam and the back neckline. So once that's done, prior to doing that, we were turning and stitching the raw edge of the facing. So once that is done, now we're going to finish off the bottom of the facing and actually hem the blouse. And the hem is simply, it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but it's just simply a turn back. You take that 1/2 inch and you double it. So you fold back 1/4 and then another 1/4, and then you just top stitch it. So it's a fairly easy hem to do. First thing you want to do though is we have to close the bottom of the facing. So in order to do that, you want to turn the facing onto itself. So turn it to the right side of the garment and line up the bottom edge to the bottom edge. If for some reason you find that your facing is a little longer, just line it up so that it's laying straight and just trim it off so that it's even with the bottom of the blouse edge. So pin it so that raw edge is to raw edge. And we're going to stitch a 1/2 inch starting at the edge, the folded edge of the facing, a 1/2 inch straight over. Don't back tack, because again, we don't want to sort of have any additional bulk, especially if you're working a lighter fabric. So just start right at the edge and stitch. No need to back tack at this end either. But you do want to knot it off at the start. How much did you 1/2 inch.
You said 1/2 inch short.
Did you get those t-shirts printed up over the break? Come on.
No.
You're slacking off.
I'm gonna get stickers made.
Stickers, okay.
I think
or
that's
magnets, refrigerator magnets. I love it. I love it. Okay. So once at that corner, once you have your bottom hem stitched, you want to trim away that corner at an angle. And again, anytime you're doing a clip like that, you want to get close, but not too close to run the risk of chopping away your seam. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Fold it onto itself, again making sure that the edges are lining up. Stitch it. And this side we're doing it in reverse, so I'm starting at the opposite end and I am ending at the finished edge of the facing. Pull your threads and knot it. Clip your corner. Once you clip your corner, turn, poke it through with your finger, and then get a crisper corner by poking through with your pointer. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now what I want to do here is I want to take the raw edge of the hem and I want to first of all go in and if there's any, depending on your fabric, if there's any like major threads hanging down, just trim them away. Also, if you find that, does anyone have a blouse readily available that's stitched together? What you want to do is, okay, here's a good example. If you find that at each of the seams. If one section is slightly off, it's not going to be off by that much, but if it is slightly off, you want to go in and just trim that away so that it's a smooth line. Right? So in each of your seams, make sure that one side is not hanging below the other. So just trim it out so that it's an even raw edge. Okay, now the seam allowance is a 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up a 1/2 inch and pin it at each of my seams, each of my French seams. Fold up a 1/2 inch. And there comes a point once you start doing more and more of this that you really begin to train your eye as to what a 1/2 inch is, what a 1/4 inch is. So you really don't need to be that crazy about measuring precisely. You begin to train your eye as to what a 1/2 inch is. All right, so now once you hit all of your seams, then go back in and fill in the center areas. Again, turning it up a 1/2 inch. Now, once you have this done, what you want to do with the pins in place, you want to take this to the ironing board and press it. But because it's a curved hem and you're rolling this in, and you can see that it's not quite fitting properly because anytime you're taking a curved hem, you're taking a larger mass and folding it into a smaller mass. So we're folding this up into a smaller area. So it's a bigger. Is that me or that's my tone? So it's
It's probably me and my tone.
fine. So you fold it up and it's going to be a little bigger. So what you want to do is you want to take it to the ironing board, put it down, and don't press it, but just sort of put the iron down on top of it and give it some steam, and that will sort of shrink it in and make it fit in place. And then it's a 1/2 inch all the way around. No need to come over there. I'm just going to take it to the board and do that. I'm just going to put the steam down and just press it and lift, press and lift, press and lift.